stop it right there. Y'all thought I was gonna do something else? I'm still doing a YouTube video. What's up, y'all? It's Super Extension here. My name is Stefan. So I'm getting better with this one right here. That y'all, instead of saying what's up, guys, it like, but cause I like do that before I could even do it. Like I just keep saying what's up, guys. It's Super Extension here. I keep saying that. It's like, okay, just shut up.
Like she was talking to someone or something. I opened the door, only to discover it was personal girlfriend. This is the most terrifying thing that has ever happened to me. I want to share my story with the world, now that I have closure. It all started a couple years ago when I was living with my girlfriend, who we'll call Sarah for the sake of the story. I remember we were both in the living room watching a movie. We usually did movie nights on Fridays, and it was my turn to select which movie we get to watch. I was personally a horror fanatic, so I chose a horror film. It was pretty late in the night when this occurred, so it really made the movie that much more intense. Sarah wasn't really into the horror genre, so you can imagine the kind of reaction she had throughout the movie. Midway into the movie, Sarah asked if I could walk her to the bedroom. I reply by saying, sure, after the movie's done.
You know I don't like horror. Please just walk me to the bedroom. I'm scared, Trevor.
We can leave when the movie's done. I sat through your whole movie last week, so it's only fair that you finish mine.
Please don't do this to me. I'm really scared, Trevor.
Quit being a chicken. I'm not leaving the couch till this movie's done.
I hate you!
Sarah angrily gets up and heads to the bedroom on her own while I continue watching the movie and mentally prepare myself for the argument that awaited me. About 10 minutes later, my throat begins to itch, so I decide to get a bottle of water in the kitchen. As I stood up from the couch, I get startled as I see Sarah standing in the darkness of the hallway. Sarah, you scared me. I thought you were in bed sleeping. Sarah just stands there with her eyes wide open, gazing into my eyes with her emotionless expression, almost like she was looking into the depths of my soul. I assumed she was still upset about earlier, so I said, I'll be waiting in bed, as I casually walked past her. As I open the bedroom door, I see Sarah laying in bed asleep. My mind raced with mixed emotions of confusion and absolute horror. I could have sworn I just saw her. I decided to peek outside the hallway, only to see nothing. This can't be real. I could have sworn I just saw her. I must be hallucinating. I just need to stop watching scary movies this late at night. I disregard what had just occurred and crawled into bed with Sarah. At 3 a.m. in the morning, I wake up to a loud sound which sounded like glass being shattered. I noticed Sarah was no longer in bed with me, which I found quite bizarre as it was very uncharacteristic for her to be awake at this time of night. I could hear weird noises coming from the washroom outside the bedroom. I cautiously get up and began to approach the washroom. I could hear Sarah in there. It sounded like she was talking to someone, or something. I opened the door, only to discover the most terrifying thing I had ever laid eyes on. I can see Sarah standing in the bathtub covered in blood. She had smashed the mirror and used the broken shards to lacerate her body entirely. She then began yelling the words, I hate you! I hate you! I hate you! Her voice was demonic. I was thoroughly convinced that this was not my girlfriend and that she had been possessed by some sort of evil entity. I stood there quivering, not being able to move a muscle out of shell shock. Sarah then pulls the shower curtain, unveiling a message on the wall which spelled, I hate you, written in blood. My legs go completely numb as I collapse to the floor. Sarah then picks up a large piece of the broken mirror and yells one last time in her demonic voice, I hate you! She then pierces the shard across my chest repeatedly, stabbing and stabbing and stabbing. I remember seeing a bright white light as my life flashed before me. That's when I open my eyes and wake up to a movie playing in the living room. This isn't the horror movie I played earlier. It must have been a movie Sarah put on. I checked the time and it was exactly 3 a.m. I looked to my right only to see Sarah staring dead at me with a grimacing look. What's wrong, Sarah?
This is the third time you fell asleep to the movie that I picked on movie night. I hate you.
Sarah?
Oh my God, bro.
Sarah?
That whole thing was a dream the whole time. Ugh. Gee. We ain't gotta scream my ear. Oh, ain't that's that one same thing that he just put on?
This story is told in a female perspective.
Oh, you look like Shaggy.
It happened to me when I was around 15 years old. I would always love going to this arcade that was located close to my house. The arcade was always open till late, so it was usually packed to full capacity. My parents didn't mind if I went by myself, as long as I made it back before my curfew was over. Every time I was at this arcade, I would always play with the Pac-Man machine. I don't know why, it's just I had a knack for Pac-Man, and it was my favorite game to play. Later that night, I remember seeing these two guys play the game Dance Dance Revolution. I always enjoyed watching others play it, as it was quite mesmerizing to say the least. That's when a random guy approached me from out of the blue and asked if I'd be interested in playing air hockey with him. I personally didn't see any harm in it, so I said, sure. He introduces himself as Ben, and I introduce myself as well. We end up playing a few rounds and even chatted for a bit. Ben was even generous enough to buy me a drink. I eventually noticed it was getting pretty late and realized it was probably close to my curfew. I checked my pockets and noticed my phone was missing. I didn't know if I forgot it at home or something, so I tell Ben that it was time for me to go. He then tells me that he needs to use the restroom and politely asks if I could keep an eye on his cell phone, which was charging on the wall along with his belongings. I said sure, and he proceeds to head to the restroom. I decided to call my cell phone using Ben's phone, just in case I accidentally dropped it somewhere in the arcade. I noticed he didn't have a pass lock on it, so it was pretty easy to use. I dial my number and surprisingly hear a cell phone ringing inside Ben's backpack. It sounded exactly like my ringtone. My phone must have been in his bag. I decide to open the bag, only to find my phone inside it. I grab my phone and quickly place the backpack back on the table, just in case Ben came back. I felt really uncomfortable knowing he had attempted to steal my phone, considering the fact that he came off as this really nice guy. I noticed he was still in the restroom, so I randomly scanned through Ben's phone. He didn't have any social media apps, which led me to believe he wasn't much of a social guy. I nosily decided to look through Ben's photos while occasionally looking up to see if he had come back from the restroom. What I saw in the photos made me want to throw up. It was photos of myself ranging from inside and outside the arcade. The photos ranged from a couple months ago till now. As I was swiping more and more and more, I realized that this guy had been secretly stalking and taking photos of me. One photo that really sent chills down my spine was a candid style photo of myself playing the Pac-Man machine with Ben standing right behind me. He must have had someone take the photo of us. I quickly delete all the photos of his phone. That's when someone named Greg texted Ben's phone saying, "Yo, Ben, is she still with you? I'm outside with the van." That's when I look up and see Ben staring at me with a creepy-ass smile. It was a smile that looked so exaggerated I couldn't tell if he was faking it or being for real. I told him that I was just checking the time because I'd forgotten my cell phone at home. He then says, "Want to come over to my place?" I honestly could have made a scene, but I took the high road and said, "Sure, but I need to use the restroom first." He then says, "Sure, let me walk you there." Ben walks me to the restroom, and I immediately took the opportunity to call my dad to come pick me up. I can see Ben glimpsing through the door every time someone exited the restroom like a creep. That's when I decided to tell two older girls I saw about my situation. They kindly escort me outside, only to find Ben no longer there. I then get a call from my dad telling me to come outside and that he has arrived. I quickly rush into his car and act like nothing ever happened. To this day, I'm still traumatized from the encounter I had with Ben that night. I lay on my bed from time to time, pondering what sick plan he was orchestrating that night. All I know is that I don't plan on going back to that arcade anytime soon.
Ugly! Why are you staring at people while they play arcade? He got 0 poses. True air of a B&B. Oh, nah.
This happened to me on a trip to Lyon, France. I was traveling solo from the States and had booked a stay with this old couple in their house. I say old, they must have been in their mid-60s. It was a new listing and only had a couple of reviews, but they were both really positive. From the photos, I could tell that this place wasn't exactly a 5-star joint, but for the price, it was a steal and in a great location to boot. That first night when I arrived, the older couple actually made dinner for me. It was a nice touch, and who was I to refuse? Their English was decent, so we chatted and shared a few stories, and afterwards I went to explore the city and get a few drinks. I must have returned around 10 p.m, and my hosts were nowhere to be seen. In bed asleep, I figured. The pair had told me at dinner to help myself to a little wine, which is precisely what I did when I got in. Nice folks. Afterwards, I went up to my bedroom to settle down myself. Now, I usually have trouble sleeping, but that night I fell asleep with surprising ease. All the traveling that day had worn me out, and that little bit of wine probably helped too, I guess. I'm not sure what time it was, but I awoke in the night to a flash of lightning. You know when your eyes are closed, but you can still tell there was a flash of bright light? Well, it was just like that. I remained curled up in bed with my eyes still shut, waiting for the crash of thunder to come with it. I counted the passing seconds in my head. My mum always used to tell me that however many seconds there were between the lightning and thunder, that was how many miles away it had struck. So I'm there, counting away in my head. 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 20, 30. That's odd, I thought. No thunder. It was then, through closed eyelids, that I sensed another lightning flash. Again, I waited for the thunder, but it never came. I sat up in bed and opened my eyes, just to see if my sleep-hazed mind was playing tricks on me. It hadn't been. Inside my bedroom were my two hosts. Initially, I didn't realize just how bizarre this situation was. I was still in that confused, just out of sleep state. Even still, I knew there was something off about their expressions. As my eyes adjusted, I could tell what was wrong. They were both wearing masks, latex masks of old human faces with exaggerated features. The flashes had been from the camera the woman was holding. They had been taking pictures of me whilst I slept. The husband was nearer to the bed than the wife, though, and he was in mid-step, moving closer. She was further back by the door. It was as if he wanted to be in the pictures.
Bro,
With
why
me
you
now
still
awake,
saying so
they
dumb
both
like that?
froze like a pair of mannequins. What do you want? At the time, I couldn't think of anything else to say. The adrenaline hadn't kicked in yet. I was more confused than freaked out. "You're dreaming," said the male, his voice muffled behind the latex
I don't
mask,
think he's dreaming. Look at that
then
face.
backing up towards the door. "Good night." It wasn't until I noticed the metal wrench in the old man's hand that the situation fully dawned on me.
Do the moonwalk. Honestly.
I quickly gathered my shit and made for the front door, glancing around like crazy in case the old fucks tried to ambush me with the wrench from around a corner. Needless to say, I contacted the police immediately, though nothing ever came of it. My evidence was all anecdotal. The old geezers had been smart enough to delete all of the pictures.
What is?
My complaints to Airbnb were largely ignored too, though the old couple did remove their listing from the site. I don't know what all of that was about. Some cult-like shit? A messed up fetish? Some fucking potential snuff pictures they were making. The old man was definitely in the shots, and it was clear that he was trying to step towards me quietly, wrench in hand. Whatever the case, I'll never complain about being a light sleeper again. I still check Airbnb regularly, just to make sure they don't use it to lure anyone else in.
So they kill people to sleep, basically. Oh, that's messed up.
Today we'll play Minecraft, but we are vampires.
3, 2,
2, 1, go! Oh my god!
Whoa, you guys look so angry.
You kind of just look normal, Josh.
Wait, what?
You kind of just look like yourself in real life, pale.
Oh, I love that.
Josh,
So you got some new teeth.
Now it's only down to 2 contestants, chat. 1, 2.
No, hold on. I think.
This story happened to me on a Thursday night, when I was home alone in my apartment complex. I live with my roommate Josh, who was usually out with his girlfriend, so that gave me the luxury of having the place to myself. I was video chatting with 3 classmates of mine on Facebook Messenger. Their names were Eric, Craig, and Cindy. This was my first interaction with them as our professor selected us to be in a group project together. Throughout the night, we brainstormed ideas while getting more acquainted with one another. This is when the story gets a bit weird. Eric spontaneously asked the group chat, "Hey guys, want to see something cool?"
What is it?
"Getting an A+ in this project would be cool." "Sure, man, what's up?" Eric sends the group chat a photo. I click the chat icon and see a disturbing image of a woman with her arms and legs missing. What the hell?
Ew! Why are you sending us this?
Dude, where the hell did you get that photo? I'll tell you, but you guys really need to keep this a secret. Promise me you won't tell anyone.
This isn't marketing related, but okay, I guess.
Sure, dude. Please don't tell me you were the sicko who took that pic. I didn't. I actually got the photo from the dark web. Dude, you go on the dark web?
What's the dark web?
Supposedly it's this hidden part of the internet where you can buy illegal stuff. I personally wasn't that educated about the dark web, but I did hear rumors about it growing up. I've always acknowledged the existence of these kinds of things growing up, but I was still unaware as to what potential atrocities lie within the online world. Eric then says, "Yeah, I just recently started getting into it. I found the photo from one of the forums I came across called Homemade Dolls. Here's the full-size picture." He then sends us the exact same photo, except this time it had a description box next to it with the title, Doll Number 20. Why the hell, of all people, did I have to be in a group project with this weirdo? The details in the description stated inhumane acts that can be performed on the victims before being shipped to their buyers. I felt pretty disgusted reading the dialogue, but I was still somewhat skeptical about the whole thing. It was hard to deny its legitimacy, though. The authenticity of the image looked too real to be a hoax.
To be honest, this looks photoshopped.
I don't know. It looks pretty real to me. Dude, that's disgusting. Why do you even go on sites like that? Well, I only go on it occasionally. Midway through Eric's sentence, a random user joins the video chat. Who's that? I don't know. I swear to God, we better not be getting hacked.
Eric, is this one of your stupid friends from the dark web? I'm gonna call the cops if it is.
That's when I decide to move my mouse cursor to exit the video chat. Why the hell isn't this working? Come on, work, goddammit! My cursor was resisting to move no matter how many times I clicked or moved my mouse. That's when the random user's video turned on. It was a guy wearing a pig mask. The mask didn't look like some dollar store knockoff. It looked like the skinned face of an actual pig. He wore it like he was Leatherface from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Hey, is anybody seeing what I'm seeing? Eric, dude, I really hope this isn't a stupid prank. It's not, dude. I don't even know who that is. Why is there a guy wearing a pig mask on my screen?
Guys, what's going on?
I don't know why, but something about that moment, I just knew. I was looking into the eyes of what true evil looks like. That's when my classmate's video chat completely froze. The only screen functioning was the pigman's. It seemed like our computers were being hijacked. I couldn't quite comprehend what was going on till I heard the pigman say, "Can you see me? Say yes if you can hear me." "Say it!" I replied with, "Yes, what do you want from me?" in an uncontrollable stutter.
Say it!
You know that feeling you get when you're with someone for so long, every single day just drags and becomes a routine. Well, I just want something new and fresh, you know? Something vibrant that will make me feel alive again. I just need a new doll. What do you say? Does that sound like a brilliant plan to you?
At SteelSeries, we solve problems, not climate change level problems. Sorry.
I was completely appalled by what was transpiring. That's when I hear a muffled female's voice in the background. The pigman then swivels the camera towards the direction of the muffled voice, only to reveal a woman with no arms and legs. She had duct tape on her mouth and a chain bound around her neck. The woman was flailing her severed arms wildly in a desperate attempt to escape. A couple seconds later, the pigman approaches her while holding an axe, the kind of axe lumberjacks use to chop down trees. I began to hyperventilate as I knew the inevitable fate this woman was about to endure. He then raises the axe up in the air. I begin screaming from the top of my lungs, "Leave her alone or I'm calling the cops!" As I took my last glance at the woman, I realized that it was the same woman in the photo that Eric sent. That's when the pigman smashes the axe against the woman's skull repeatedly. I practically leap up from my chair and begin to vomit. This sadistic display was unbearable. What the hell is going on? Someone tell me I'm dreaming. There's no way this is real. I look back on the screen, only to see nothing. Like the whole thing was just a bad dream, or a figment of my imagination. What the hell just happened? I know I'm not going crazy. I immediately messaged my classmates in the group chat saying, "Please tell me you guys saw all of that. Did any of you see the pigman? We need to report him." Yeah, I briefly saw him, but then my video chat ended.
Same here. That was weird as hell.
Must have been a hacker. Thank God my screen went back to normal. Did you see anything, Terrence? I respond as nonchalantly as I can, saying, "Yeah, basically what you guys saw. I think it's best that we just put this behind us and move on from here, you know?" I didn't know if that was the right decision. I didn't want to further escalate the situation. Acknowledging the pigman's existence was one thing, but going into further detail about afterwards just felt unnecessary. This is the part where I wish the story ends. It's been a year since the incident. I ended up dropping out and taking the semester off due to the mental trauma I endured. I now work at a local retail store. I was coming home from work one day and I saw an envelope sitting in my mail slot. I open it and discover the most horrifying thing that sends shivers down my spine. It was a picture of my classmate, Cindy. Except she had no legs and no arms. The picture was titled Doll Number 21.
I already have saw that before, so it's like, it's not surprising. But it's just like, I kind of want to watch it to myself. Truly well horror people. Video check. Ding! I love dark webs.
This happened 10 years ago.
Oh, that's not.
It was the beginning of summer, and I was home alone. I invited my friend over who actually lived across the street from me. We sat at my computer, which was a desktop, just to chill out and watch YouTube. Now, since this was in 2009, there wasn't much to watch on YouTube. We got bored after a while, and my friend started talking to me about the dark web. He said his friend told him about it, and then he told me about it. He told me there was a difference between the deep web and the dark web, and the dark web was where it was at. He said there was a lot of illegal and brutal kind of stuff. He said it had red rooms and websites where you can buy weed, fake IDs, stuff like that. So let's just say the dark web has a lot of messed up garbage and sick people out in this world. He was telling me you had to access it through a different type of browser, the Tor browser. I was setting it all up, downloading a bunch of different software for safety. It was past 8 p.m. when my friend had to go back home, so it was just me alone again. I finally installed everything and was ready, but I made sure I was safe by typing in Google search bar, what is my IP? And sure enough, it was a totally different one. I accessed the browser, and off I went to look for something local, if possible. There were a lot of links. I didn't actually click on them though, only because I wanted to be as safe as possible. I was reading the titles though, and there was a lot of stuff like brutal murders and torture. I also saw the other sites where you would buy illegal stuff. I was looking around for at least an hour. As I was searching more and more, I realized that I was getting deeper into the page, and there was a lot more brutal stuff. Stuff I don't even want to talk about. Then I found a link. It didn't seem bad or anything. It literally was titled, "What is the Dark Web?" I thought it would just be a video telling me all about it, so stupidly I clicked on it. My computer froze, and I couldn't do anything. I couldn't even turn it off. A black box appeared on my screen. I couldn't close it though, and I still couldn't turn off my computer. I then noticed I was in the chat room. People were saying, "Come on already and hurry up." I realized that the black screen was a turned off camera, and then it turned on. I saw a giant man standing in the living room. I couldn't see his face though, and he wasn't standing that close to the camera. He then started to walk towards it and picked it up. He slowly brought up the camera up to his head. He was wearing a pig mask. Honestly, it was scary. If you go on Google Images and search up Psycho Pig Mask, that's the one he was wearing. He then turned the camera around and started walking to a bedroom. He turned the night vision on and walked in. There was a baby in the crib next to his mother in a rocking chair while they both slept. He slowly walked up to the mother and put his camera next to her, and I shit you not, he covered her mouth with a chloroform-soaked cloth. After a while, she was out cold. He then picked up the sleeping baby and held him to the camera and gently laid him back in the crib. I started raging and screaming at my computer monitor, cussing at the psycho. As he was staring at the baby after he set it back in the crib, I was still cursing. It was like he heard me though. The people in the chat were cheering him on to do more. I couldn't take it anymore, and I tried turning my computer off, but it wouldn't even turn off. He took his camera and picked up the mother, taking her to the bathroom where he proceeded to cut off her extremities while she was still alive. He put tourniquets on her and cleaned her up. He bandaged her up and placed her back in a rocking chair. He then walked into the parents' room where the husband was asleep and stared at him for about 5 minutes. I yelled at the screen, "You're a sicko," out loud, and again the man looked at the camera, but this time he tilted his head. It was like he was staring at me again. He was staring at the camera for like a minute. He walked towards it, picked it up, and stared at the lens for another minute. He finally turned it off. I had control over my computer again. I just turned it off. I couldn't believe what I saw. It was disgusting. It was a little past 10 p.m. I just sat there staring at my turned off computer screen. But then my computer turned on again. It instantly went to another video. It was the same guy again. He was staring at the camera. I was the only viewer. It looked like he was standing outside of a house. He put his hand over the camera, and I heard him walking. He pointed the camera into a window, and he started recording someone. My heart sank. He was recording me. I turned my head to the window. There stood a man over 6'5" wearing that pig mask. He put the camera into his bag, and he just stood there. I just stood there. I couldn't move. I was frozen in fear. He took out a knife and raised it up while tilting his head. But by some miracle, a car was driving up my street, and the pig man took off. The car pulled up to my driveway. It was my dad. I don't know why, but I didn't tell anyone about this. 2 days later, I went outside to my mailbox, and I noticed there was something for me. It was an envelope. I opened it up. It was unfolded in crumpled up paper. It said, "You're lucky your dad came home, you little bitch." I didn't show or tell anyone. I actually still have that note. And yeah, I do agree with him. I am lucky my dad came home.
nerve about them 8 legs. Cause there is no way they cannot just stuck his hand in there and then his hand move, all them hands move.
The F5 on mobile to train your driving skill. Hello, what's up guys? Recently I just found out an app that can play PC game on your mobile. I know it sounds crazy, but it is really happening right now. The app name is NetBoom. User can use smartphone device to play PC game anytime and anywhere.
Better leave looking anywhere. That makes screen. Hey, Steve. Looking for me. Do you get any messages about you're lucky you're Angie. Let me show you he tripping, y'all. Oh, it's another. Ooh. I made a feed. Yep, it's not again.
About a week ago, I was scrolling through the dark web looking at the same old stuff I usually do. I then came across a link called Sleeveless Ace. I was curious, so I clicked on it and checked it out. It was a live stream of a man who calls himself Sleeveless Ace. He was dressed kind of like a blackjack dealer, wearing a black waistcoat and a bow tie.
Oh, yeah.
He was also wearing a mask, a creepy jester mask, like something you would see from the movie The Purge. He was set down at a table with a stack of playing cards that were face down. He then lifted the first card from the deck. It was a 6 of hearts. He then spoke saying, "Please place your bets." I didn't understand what he meant by this, but people in the comment section were placing their bets along with live or die. I was still confused. That was until Sleeveless Ace went behind some kind of curtain and brought out a man who looked to be in his 30s that was tied up to a hospital bed. He then pulled out an electric drill and proceeded to drill into the man's legs. He drilled 3 holes in and around each of the man's kneecaps while he screamed in agony. You could see the man screaming, crying, and letting out long breaths. Sleeveless Ace then turned back toward the camera and said, "Whoever bet live, congratulations. You have won this round." I then understood what was going on.
So he killing anybody.
Whatever number the card was, the viewers would bet if the victim would survive the amount of times of torture as the card number. The next card that was drawn was an ace of clubs. Sleeveless Ace then said, "As you all know, an ace means a torture special." He then asked what the viewers would prefer. A rat in a bucket while he held a live rat by its tail. Or B, sulfuric acid, and held in his other hand a jar of acid. The viewers then voted on a viewer poll, and the rat won 51 to 49%. Sleeveless Ace then put the rat in the metal bucket, strapped it to the man's stomach, and proceeded to heat the bucket with a blowtorch. I would never forget the screams that man let out as the rat clawed and ate his way through his stomach. I sat there feeling like I was about to throw up while I watched and listened to this poor guy's scream blasting through my earplugs. The rat eventually came out through the man's throat. The man obviously died because he bled out. That was where the stream ended. Sleeveless Ace said, "Thank you everyone for playing," and the stream cut off. Like I said before, I've been on the dark web and seen some pretty edgy, weird stuff. But I've never come across anything like Sleeveless Ace or his messed up torture games.
They gonna keep doing lasers? I mean, lasers. he would have him on money. I guess he ain't gonna kill nobody, but it's stupid. It's stupid. It's dumb. Yeah, it's 103 too. Password. D-Web 8. Superstition. Bruh, you could just look at it right there. You could be like, oh, it's right here. And then you could be like, oh, okay. D-Web.
Picture in your mind something you've seen recently that disturbed you. It can be a stain on your favorite shirt or a scratch on your new car. Just close your eyes and try to picture an unpleasant image.
So them all them D-Webs.
I have a confession. I'm obsessed with the dark web. Everything about it fascinates me, from the live streams, the red rooms, to the snuff films. Some would say I'm sick in the head, and maybe I am, but at least I admit it. Another reason why I like going to the dark web is because I like finding out if what I see online is real. Like the viral deep web videos on YouTube such as Blank Room Soup. One night, I was bored and decided to surf the dark web. I made sure my Tor browser was working and had all my safety softwares updated. I finally entered the dark web and started strolling around the site. There were a lot of weird things for sale, like human feces, human eyeballs, Michael Jackson's breath in a jar. I pondered the people who buy these things. I started searching for more and saw more sick stuff like human Spider-Man. It was half a man's body, with 8 arms attached to him. Each arm was miraculously moving. It looked like a camera trick, honestly. I read the description and it said it was some sort of sick experiment. The experiment was conducted on 4 involuntary victims. Victim number 1, a man born with half a body. Victim number 2, a teenage boy. Victim number 3, the teenage boy's dad. Victim number 4, the teenage boy's grandpa. Some random psycho slew the victim's arms and attached him to a man with half a body. I guess he surgically inserted a robot inside to make the arms move. It was disgusting, but I was enticed to see more. I saw another link called Chat with Stacy. It had a picture of an attractive-looking female and a link to a live stream. I've been on sites like Omega, where you chat with random people in the chat room, so I decided to click it. I was now in the live stream. I saw the same attractive-looking female from the picture. She was standing a few inches away from the computer. It looked like she was posing for the camera.
Hey, boys.
She then started walking closer and sat down on the chair. She had a blank expression on her face, and I saw a lot of people in the chat saying weird stuff like, "Can't wait for you to be my wife," or "Things I would do to you."
Y'all crazy.
I was used to seeing disturbing comments like that on Instagram when someone popular on Instagram live streamed, so I ignored it.
That's crazy.
I then saw the girl typing something. She wrote in the chat box, "Does anyone find me attractive?" I saw a lot of people in the chat room leaving, more bizarre comments like, "If you were a booger, I'd pick you
I
first."
heard that one before.
I giggled when I saw that one, but then the comments got a little weirder. I saw someone say, "You would make a delicious meal." It looked like the girl acknowledged it by blowing kisses and making heart signs.
You're funny.
Sort of looked like she was flirting with the people in the chat room. I was now convinced that
Netflix ain't
she was one of those cam models, and that the people in the chat were just a bunch of creeps. The girl then typed something in the chat room that left me confused and trembling in fear. She typed, "Please help me." Her smile then turned into crying. I can see her mouthing the words, "Help me." It was creepy. She was mouthing the words, "Help me," under her breath, and I was confused on why she was asking for help. Within a matter of seconds, she stopped crying and began smiling again. I assumed she was either crazy or bipolar. The screen suddenly began to start to glitch, turning on and off. It eventually stopped glitching, and I saw a man standing behind her. There was a man behind her. It looked like the man had put a leash around her neck. The creepy thing is, the woman remained smiling. It was like a scene from a horror movie. People in the chat were saying things like, "Any minute now," and "I don't have all day." She then started typing in the chat room without even looking at the keyboard, and she wrote, "The rules of this auction is that we only accept bids in thousands, and only in Bitcoin. May the bidding commence." I was confused and didn't understand what was going on. The live chat box then turned into a red screen, and I saw the number 1000 pop up. Then it changed from 1000 to 2000, from 2000 to 3000. The numbers were changing at a rapid pace. It was now 10,000, 20,000, 40,000. The numbers eventually stopped at 40,000. It was sold to someone called Mr. Unama. The live chat room then turned back on again. The girl was visibly upset and typed something in the chat room that I would never forget till this day. She wrote, "I'm sold." My heart sank. I realized this was an auction for the girl. The man standing in the back eventually approached the girl and put a cardboard box with a smiley face over her head. He then slapped the cardboard box, knocking the girl unconscious. He then sat on a chair and started laughing obnoxiously at the camera. He also put a mask with the word God written on it. It looked like a mask you would see in the movie The Purge. He then started waving a big blade around his face. He eventually takes off the mask and does something to his face that I would never forget. He carved the word God on his forehead. His face was dripping with blood. I was disgusted in what I was seeing, and I screamed, "You're not God, you sicko." He then started typing in the chat and said, God has nothing to do with this. I was freaking out. It was like he could hear me. He then wrote in the chat box the next auction would be for a male. He started typing physical features of a male that sounded awfully familiar. It sounded like he was describing someone who looked like me. I told myself that it could have been me, but what he wrote next confirmed it. He wrote my full name in the chat box. I unplugged my computer, and I immediately went to my friend's house to stay for the night. The next day, I went back to my house and I saw blood smeared on the front window. The blood spelled the word God. I called the cops and reported the incident. And not long after that incident, I moved out, and I haven't looked back since. I will never, I say again, never, visit the dark web again. A few years ago, I had a fixation with the deep in the dark web. There was a room named Onama Feast that I'd go into, and all it would show was a man eating. To me, it was odd because I really didn't know why I was watching a man eat. I saw that there were a lot of people, so